building hasn't always been part of the museum. It started life in the 1870s as a working engine shed. So in here, there would have been a few more turntables than just this one here. The roof would have been half as high, so it would be very dark in here. There would have been no windows, just wooden shutters on either end. There would have been no barriers around the turntable, so any of you leaning on the barrier, you'd have all fallen in. And underneath the engines, you might see what look like floorboards. They're covering pits, inspection pits, and those boards wouldn't have been there either, so you could quite easily have fallen into there. Now, if you did fall and you hurt yourself, they'd send you home, but you wouldn't get paid. So it's in your best interests to watch where you're going, which is easier said than done, because at the height of steam, around 1914, there were 722 men and young boys working just around this engine shed. So it would be very, very busy. Now, this turntable is electrically powered. So the orange boxes just on the side, they take the electricity, which means we can turn this around really, really fast. But this is a little bit fancy. You see, it was installed in 1954. There were other kinds of turntables, and if anyone's interested, you can come at the end and have a word with us, but I think the majority of our audience probably won't want to go into that much depth right now. So the turntable is 70 feet long, which means you can fit almost every single engine that we have onto it. But you cannot fit a Chinese KM7 onto this turntable. So I'll let you have a few guesses as to how we got it in here if it doesn't fit on the turntable. So very finally, why do you need a turntable? Well, the first one you can see here today is for storage. We call it a roundhouse. So it looks like a bike wheel with all the different spokes coming off. Each engine has its own track and a number underneath the turntable. You can see all the different numbers. They tell you which track your engine is on. So if we wanted to take Evening Star out today, we could turn the turntable to track 24, bolt it into place, pull Evening Star on with a diesel shunter, and then turn back to track 4 or track 5, which is still connected to the East Coast main line today, and off we go through the car park. Very quick and very easy. If we didn't have the turntable, we just had long tracks, and the engines would be piled in front of each other on those tracks. If you're an engine driver and you came to this engine shed at about 5 o'clock in the morning and you had a look which engine you'd been assigned that day, it's quite likely you were given the one at the back of the line. So you'd have to take all the others out of the way just to get yours out and then put all the others back. You're probably a little bit annoyed that you had to do all that work before you even started your day. Now, the other reason is a little bit harder to see, but if you have a tender engine, just like City of Truro, the bit at the back, that's the tender, and that carries the coal and water for your journey. Now, the engine itself can go backwards, or tender first, just as easily as it can go forwards, or with the chimney first. But there's two components that don't like it, and that's the driver and the fireman. Because if they get to the end of a line, and there's no turntable, they have to go tender first. Which you think, oh, that's not too bad. But imagine you're the driver, all the controls are now behind you, so you can't control them very well. Your signals are on the wrong side of the track, so you can't see whether it's a red light or a green light, which is dangerous. And also, there's not much protection with the tender. If you have a look at where the driver and the fireman would stand here, they've got lots of engine in front of them, so if it's windy or rainy, they're not going to get all that into their face. But with the tender, there's nothing, just a big pile of coal in the way. So even on a sunny day, which we're getting a little bit of sun today, the coal would dry out and all the coal dust would blow into your face and up your nose and down your throat, and it'd be really horrible. So the drivers really liked it if they got to the end of the line and you had a turntable. So all you have to do is spin it around and you can go home chimney first and everybody's happy. And on that note, I think it's time for Andy to do a little bit of work now. She's going to unbolt us from the wall. You can see the bolts underneath the number. And that means we're free to go. And then we need to hear a clunk. A clunk. Let's see. That's good news for Andy, because that means the electricity is working. Otherwise, he might have to hand wind us the whole way around, and you'll be here for a long time, and Andy'll be very tired. Now, final Make sure you don't have any feet underneath or hands on top of the barrier, and no bags or scarves or anything like that dangling near it, because if we catch you, you're going to have to run all the way around with us, and it's a little bit dangerous. So we'll just do one check, and we're good to go. Exactly where we started. So Andy's going to have a go at hand winding back into track floor. Are you going for Andy? Challenge, yeah. Now if he manages to do this, you've got to give him a really big round of applause. It's very hard. He's moving 160 tons, something like that by hand. Put you back into it. And we're back into position. I think Andy deserves a big round of applause for that valiant effort. Now, if you do have any questions, do come and see us just over by the hand winding mechanism. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming to our demonstration, and have a lovely day at the museum.